This week in Tallahassee, we've made the clubhouse turn and are now in the home stretch. But the finish line may be moving on us. Hello, I'm Paul Jess, Executive Director of the Florida Justice Association. Today is Friday, March 6th, 2020. We have reached the end of the 8th week of the 2020 legislative session. Next week is the last scheduled week of the session, but it appears that the session is likely to be extended at least for a day or more. So we are no longer expecting the session to end next Friday, March 13th. At this point, we think that most of the anti-justice so-called tort reform bills are dying. The bills regarding insurance company bad faith, medical damages, and attorney fee multipliers have not passed all their assigned committees in the Senate. Unfortunately, the good bill that would create responsibility-based auto insurance by requiring bodily injury liability coverage also has not passed all of its Senate committees. The high drama for this week was in the Senate Appropriations Committee. On Tuesday, Senate Bill 1404, which had been an uncontroversial bill regarding financial services, was amended to put a 2-year limitation on filing a property insurance claim for hurricane damage. Current law is 3 years. Senator Flores filed an amendment to remove the anti-consumer provision from the bill, but the amendment failed. The bill was on the Senate floor today on the special order calendar, but it was temporarily postponed or TP'd. We do not know whether this bill will be heard again on the Senate floor. If it is, Senator Flores has already refiled her amendment to remove the 2-year limit. The worst of the tort reform bills still moving is the House version of a bill affecting asbestos legislation, House Bill 741. This bill would create roadblocks for victims of mesothelioma to get their cases to trial. The Senate bill on the same subject, however, Senate Bill 1582, does not contain the problematic provisions, and it is on third reading on the Senate floor. Although next week is the last scheduled week of the 2020 legislative session, the session may not end on Friday as scheduled. That's because a formal budget conference between the House and Senate has not yet begun. To end on time, a final budget, as agreed on between House and Senate Conference Committee, would need to be placed on the desk of each House and Senate member by Tuesday. Our Florida Constitution requires a final budget be on the desk of the legislators for 72 hours before final passage. Assuming that there will be some extension of the session beyond next Friday, we do not know whether the legislature will consider any issues other than the budget in that extension. Please read the message from FJA Legislative and Political Director Jeff Porter for an in-depth look at the recent and anticipated legislative activity. Special thanks to the many FJA officers and members who were in town to assist in the lobbying efforts on issues affecting you and your clients. Thank you to FJA President Leslie Kroger, past President Paul Anderson, and members Amy Boggs, Hillary Cassell, and Richard Chait, who were here in Tallahassee this week. If you can, please consider joining us next week for the final lobbying push of the 2020 legislative session. Thank you for all you do for your clients and for all Floridians. And thank you for being a member of the Florida Justice Association.